be at Buffalo tomorrow. Guys, there's a women's game tonight too. They're 9-2. Feel free to come by. Who do you got? They have William and Mary.
7 p.m. too?
7 p.m. tip. You guys are good to fire away whenever you're ready.
Will, what can we expect from Buffalo?
Well, they're aggressive, driving the ball. They've played in some tough environments. They've already played at Duke. They played at Iowa State. They're down 1 with 13 minutes left at Iowa State, 47-46, 13 minutes 20 seconds, I believe it was. So, they've been in some tough environments. They're going to try to drive us from the 1 through the 4, get us in foul trouble, which can create some problems for us. They're I know people don't want to hear this. They're a pretty good team. I mean, it's not like we're playing a couple of those teams we played early in the year. I mean, they're fully capable, and they played Duke well for a little over a half. Played Iowa State tight for almost 32 minutes. So, they're certainly a capable squad.
They've also had some huge losses in terms of personnel.
Yeah.
How has that changed?
Well, they lost their big kid and their guard, who were both, I think that took them from, they were going to be the odds-on favorite to win the MAC, and now I think they're, more of a middle of the road MAC team. But they've got a freshman guard who's really played well for them, who's stepped in, and they have a redshirt freshman big guy who's come along pretty nicely for them. So they've done a nice job of plugging some holes.
Coach, you mentioned Saturday about the difficult non-conference schedule you guys had and how it should prepare or should better you once conference play begins. But how do you balance not to overschedule, to kind of lose confidence of players, as to have that difficult non-conference schedule when you get to conference play, and also when you get to March, to have that resume look pretty good?
Yeah, I mean, it's a balance. I mean, some of the games were already scheduled, so there wasn't a whole lot to work with on that. I mean, you just got to. The bottom line is you got to win the games that are scheduled. So you've got to win them. I mean, all the games, really, at some point or another, we had a chance to win. We were in the game in the final 10 minutes of every game. So you either make plays and win, or you don't. If we make the plays and win, everybody talks about what a great schedule it was, and all we have to do is just kind of walk the dog the rest of the year, and we'll get in the NCAA tournament. So I mean, it cuts both ways. So you got to schedule them first, and then you got to win them. And I think all 5 of the losses, were certainly winnable down the stretch. The Duke game to me was a little bit of a different category than the other 4. Not because they're Duke or anything, but it would have taken. We played pretty well. We played pretty well, and it got away from us there for just a little bit. But I can't really fault a lot of what happened in the Duke game. In the Wisconsin game, we had some personnel issues which ended up hurting us. In the Florida State game, we were just a little bit off. If we'd have had some guys that maybe have been a little bit more aggressive, if we'd have had them be as aggressive in the Florida State game as they've been since then, and helped Melvin out a little bit, we'd have been in better shape there. Georgia Tech, we should have. We were tied at halftime, but we let that thing get away before halftime. We should have had an 8 to 10 point lead at half. We really lost that one in the first half, even though we lost it down the stretch. But we had a couple things that just weren't perfect there. And Cincinnati, we played about it against Cincinnati like we did against Duke. I mean, I can't really fault a lot there. Now, Cincinnati's just about the details, and some of the guys who maybe don't play as much or have as large a role have to be locked in when they come in, and that's my point to the guys. I mean, that Cincinnati game was a 1-possession game, and I'm going to give you an example here, Matt. Cincinnati game was a one-possession game. We guarded one of Cincinnati's misdirection post plays no less than 100 times in practice. Seriously. When we had three guys that are, it involves three players, a dribble handoff with two guards, and it involves a post player, a center, a five-man. So basically you're talking about your 1, 2, and your 5. We have the guys who are usually locked in and know what's going on in practice and are really, really good with the details in the scouting report. We denied the pass back. We stayed on top of the post, and they ended up missing a shot, and we got the rebound. And they couldn't even get it in the post. They had to hit the flash, which is their third option on the thing, and Gilmore was it worked. We had three backups in the same play. They run the exact same play, and they dunk it. So, I mean, that's the difference. That's 2 points that they got on the exact same play that you know, that when guys are locked in and the right guys are handling the details of everything, it's stopped. But when the other guys come in, it's a dunk. And so that's where our margins are not that. Our margins are not, you know, our margins are negligible. And you know, our other guys have to come in and have to prepare the right way every day to help us. And we're at a huge disadvantage sometimes when we have some folks in the game, and that's ultimately what has unhinged us a little bit.
Is that something that changes just with experience, his margins?
You'd hope. You'd hope. I mean, you know, it's got to change. I mean, yeah, you'd hope that it would change with that. I mean, one of the kids who was in that play was a junior. So, I mean, you know, you would hope, but we'll see. I mean, we'll see if we've learned from it, you know. But we can't keep making the same mistakes, and there has to be a same sense of urgency with everybody. Everybody's got to be urgent on everything, because I mean that one possession ended up mattering quite a bit, and it was a fairly simplistic thing to stop.
With a couple tough losses, have the guys been able to kind of turn the page and still stay positive and, you know, get refocused to the next task at hand?
Yeah, I mean we've struck a balance. You know, I try to give them reality. You know what the reality is of where we are, and you know it's easy to think everything's going. You know, 80% of what happened on Saturday was pretty good. It's the 20% that we have to correct. Quite frankly, if we play like we did against Cincinnati, that same connectedness and some of the stuff that we did, the next 20, 21 games, we'll like the result in a majority of them, probably a vast majority of them. We'll like the result in almost all of them if we can clean up some of that stuff and play the same way. So, you know, you've got to focus on that. You know, we don't need some, I think you asked, like, we don't need some exotic shift. Like, we need our vanilla ice cream to taste a little bit better. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just needs to be plain Jane. But it's got to be better. Like, we had the right formula. We didn't shoot bad shots. We got the thing in the post. We got fouled more than we've been fouled in a while. That's a winning. It's a tried and true basketball formula. Cincinnati just kind of outdid us with the same formula. But most nights that'll work. I told our guys, I mean, if we foul from here on out, if we get the other team's 5-man in foul trouble, like we did, what's my man, number 2 for Cincinnati? I love that kid. Ellis, love him. If we get him in foul trouble, nobody else is bringing DeBerry off the bench. You understand? Like, they went 6'10" and brought in, 6'10" Ellis and brought in 6'10", 250 DeBerry off the bench. He's the one who dunked it on that play, by the way. But nobody else is bringing those guys in. If we can pound the paint and get the other center in foul trouble, it's going to be a layup line to the rim for the rest of the half, as opposed to having a bunch of. So, you know, there's some, you know, the formula is right. We just got to, you know, do it better, and part of it's going to be, you know, who we're competing against.
Coach, all that said, with these 3 games, these 3 non-conference games left before A-10 play, how important is it to get all these things right as we roll into conference?
Well, we've got to get them right every day. Every day. And then we'll worry about game day tomorrow. Like, we've got practice at 11. We got to be right today at practice at 11. Then we got to come back tonight at our walkthrough where we choreograph everything at 6 o'clock tonight, and we've got to be great there. And then we got to be great and shoot around tomorrow, and then we'll hopefully be great at the game. But we can't worry about 3 non-conference games left, conference, like, we got to worry about every day, getting a little bit better every day. Be better today than you were yesterday. If we get 1% better every day, we're you know, in 100 days, we're 100% better. But we've got to get a little bit better every day. We can't look at the whole deal. If you do that, you'll get overwhelmed, and it's not going to work. So we got to be better at 11 o'clock today, and we've got to be really, really good then, and then we'll wrap that up and come back, and we need to be great again at 6 tonight. And then I know it sounds not very exciting, but it's what I said. Like, our vanilla's got to be better. Like, it's just got to be better across the board.
Do you talk to your opposing coaches very much? And if so, when you talk to Coach Oates about how you guys are kind of in a similar situation? First year in the program, which you were an assistant? You know.
Yeah, I don't know Coach Oates at all. I'm looking forward to meeting him. I'm sorry to hear about his wife. I don't know if y'all know, she was diagnosed with I think it was lymphoma in September, October, and they're going through quite a bunch of testing, and I don't think their insurance is paying for all the rehab or everything that's needed. So, you know, I look forward to meeting him, and I've watched a bunch of their games, and he does a really, really good job. But yeah, he's in a similar position. He lost their 2 best players from a good team, and he's taken over. You know, so I mean, there's a lot of similarities there for sure.
Talk about connectivity, connectedness amongst the team. Kind of, what exactly is that referring to? Is that just communication? Is that on all aspects? What is, you know, the focal point of that connectiveness?
Yeah, I mean, it's doing whatever's needed, you know, for the team, and so you could tell our huddles were better against Georgia Tech. I mean, against Cincinnati, our huddles were really poor against Georgia Tech. It's everybody on the bench being into the game for, like, you know, everybody matters in a team. Everybody matters. Our walk-ons matter. I mean, obviously we play Torrey some, but the guys who don't get in the game as much, they matter. How they help us prepare and practice. So, like, every little detail, every little thing matters. And you know, it doesn't matter as much the better talent that you have. All right, that's just the reality. If we had NBA players walking around here, if we had, you know, a bunch of those type guys, all that junk wouldn't matter. It would mask all of that. It would mask everything. But we don't have that. And so every little thing matters. Every little thing's connected together. The team has to be connected together. The people who in practice, you know, have a huge role need to play their role really well in practice. The people in a game need to play their role really well in practice, then play it really well in a game. Those guys who are just in the practice role need to be excited for their teammates during the game and help those guys out. You know, it's a matter of, you know, those guys who run our scout team, they're in there practicing right now all of Buffalo's plays. So they know everything that's going to happen. We run through all their stuff. I mean, they know it. So if we're connected in a game, Jerron, who runs the 3 for our scout team, maybe can tell KB something that he sees off of one of those plays. If they're not, Jerron just keeps it to himself, and, you know, KB's not open to listening to Jerron. Well, Jerron knows because Jerron's run the plays for 2 straight days. and watched them on film. We make them go to film sessions on what, So Duran knows. So if you're connected, does that explain what I'm talking about? So that stuff's important. I didn't think we were very connected at Georgia Tech. I thought we have been for most of the year.
What do you think Melvin's head is at after?
Oh, he's fine. He's fine. He'll be fine. He works every day. He'll be fine. I'll tell you guys what, Doug Brooks is getting ready to go on a run too. I'm serious. You guys are all laughing. I know. He is. He is. He is.
You didn't play him offensively for most of the second half.
He's gonna be fine. He's gonna be fine. He's gonna start taking some. He's gonna take really good threes, and he's gonna start making. He's gonna start making threes. His percentage is getting ready to climb. He's getting ready to go on a tear. Remember, I told you all that.
Speaking of going on a run, you had Corey picking up the slack the other night against Cincinnati. I mean, what'd you like that you saw from him there? His ability.
Well, he made simple plays. Sometimes he makes the game so complicated. I feel like the basketball's not going to have air after the game sometimes because he dribbles it so much. And he sat in the corner and made catch and shoot, rhythm, easy threes, which is what we've been begging him to do all year. Just make simple, make easy plays. Don't, get the ball reversed. You can't drive it on the same side, And it's adjustment for him, and he's finally figuring it out. I mean, it's an adjustment. What worked at Oral Roberts won't work here. The defenses are different. The athleticism's different. Like, it's just different. But he's adjusting well. He's starting to figure it out, and he's starting to know where to pick his spots and be aggressive. He's a little tentative early. I think he didn't want to step on toes and that sort of thing. But we need him to be aggressive. I think we're close in terms of Mel's obviously played at a high level. The Cincinnati game was a little bit of a blip. I mean, they are the 10th best defensive team in the country. It's not like they don't know what they're doing. They're tremendous. I thought Jaquan played one of his better floor games. His one turnover was the walk on the backcourt deal. Everything else was pretty good, and I thought Corey played well. So if we're close to getting all three of those perimeter guys playing at a pretty high level. If you got Jay and Mel and Corey, all three playing at a high level, pretty good backcourt, especially moving forward.
You mentioned the other night the sky wasn't falling. You're saying how close you guys are. Do you get the sense from the guys in the locker room that they're on the same page? They also believe that we're in the fine-tuning stage here.
They know. They're taking a lot of bullets now. We all are. They got it. They hear what's going on. So it's a matter of letting them know what's real. Like, this is what's real. This is what's fake. This is a reality of our situation, it's just a matter of letting them know that, and you've also got to let them know that it's not just going to happen. You got to make it happen. You make your own luck. You make your own breaks. There's no such thing as luck. Like, you got to make it. You got to make it happen, and you got to strike a balance between that and letting them know that yeah, we're right there, and we are right there. And I'm not. You guys have been around me. I'm not sitting up here blowing sunshine, blowing smoke. Like, if I didn't think we were close, I'd tell you, it's going to be, going to be a tough haul the rest of the year. Get ready. It's going to be a low. It's going to be rough. But I really don't believe that. Now, it may change in a month, but at this point in time, I really feel like, we're that close. But if we don't handle the details and don't get better at those things I spoke about, it's just going to be continually what's going on. But I think the guys will do that, and I think they understand that, and I think we'll be better. We'll be better for it. But they know what we're doing is right. They know we're on the right track. And we've just we've played some really good teams, and it's not just about numbers. And I get it. Duke and Cincinnati were ranked, and Wisconsin's not ranked. But there's it's more matchups based. Some of them were just not great matchups for us. We could play, you know, a team that's ranked higher that would be a better matchup for us and probably beat them, and we could play a team that's ranked lower that would be a worse matchup for us and probably lose. That's just the way it goes. And some of these games just, I mean, just had better players at 3 or 4 positions than we did out of the 5 on the court. And there's, what can you do?
Bradford a while back told me that when you guys first got here, your first go around with Shaka, that initially they kind of gave you guys a hard time. It was a rough transition for them, just sort of buying in. How has this team looked different in terms of buying in to a new head coach and all that compared to when you were first here with Shaka?
Yeah, I mean, you know, both first years are difficult anywhere, especially when you've won, which is what's happened both times. I mean, it's easy to take over a losing program. It's not easy, but it's. I mean, I walked into Chattanooga. You guys haven't won. I've come from a winning program. Here's what you do. If you don't want to do it, hit the door. Period. That's just what you do. And we had a lot hit the door. And we found 7 or 8 guys, and we won with those guys. But when you take over a winning program, you know, there's a lot of things that go into winning. Maybe that, you know, our first year here with Shaka, Eric Maynor masked a lot of issues that were maybe under the surface. I mean, he's probably the best player in the school's history, arguably. There's a lot of stuff that needed some changing, but he covered for a lot of that. And it took a while for some of those other guys to realize that I'm going to have to change because Eric's not walking through the door and he's not here to bail us out. If you think back to the year before, probably think about how many times Eric bailed him out. Same situation here. We lost 2 of the top 10 players, probably one of the top 5 players, and at least 2 of the top 10 in our program's history. Maybe 2 of the top 5. I don't know how you would equate it, but 2 of the top 10 is probably being safe. Think about how many times Travion Graham bailed him out. Right? And he masked, along with Bree, when Bree was here, a lot of deficiencies that maybe were prevalent elsewhere. And when you have that, it takes some time for people to adjust. Nobody wants to see their deficiencies. Nobody wants to hear what their record was without Bree, what the winning percentage was. All right? It's a preview of coming attractions. Right? If Eric Maynor got hurt the year before we got here the first time, nobody would have wanted to see what that would have looked like with Joey at point guard at that point. He turned into a really, really good point guard. So with that, it takes some time. It's a good question. There's a lot of similarities, a lot of parallels. It takes some time. You ask good questions, Matt. It takes some time to understand that what the real truth is, because you can lie to yourself for a long time. But the reality is, Trey is not walking through the door. Bree's not walking through the door to bail our defense out. And we've got good enough players. This is the whole point of what I've basically been saying. We've got good enough players. We don't have great players. We've got good enough players, but we have to do every little thing right. In the past couple years, not every little thing had to go right, because Trey could bail you out. Bree could bail you out with the steal. Like, that sort of stuff could happen. But when you get everybody doing everything right and handling all the details, you're really good as a team. That Final Four team was not nearly as good as our first year's team, right? We had a top 20 draft pick on that team the first year, Larry. Like the Final Four team, we had nobody drafted. We got one kid on that Final Four team, well, two, because Skeen will go back. They're still playing overseas right now. I mean, Joey's coaching high school basketball. Rozell's playing. Bradford's playing. Skeen was at our Georgia Tech game. He's still rehabbing. He's going back. I mean, Toby Veal's not playing anymore. I mean, but a team, figured out how to handle things as we went along, and then, that trickled down to the next couple teams, and then eventually you get away from that. You just think you're going to win automatically without all the little things mattering, and then when you get away from that, the some other stuff seeps in, and it makes it hard. I tell our guys, drink from the well, but don't forget who dug it. Like, we got a lot of guys in that room that hadn't done a lot of hard labor to make things happen in this program. They don't want to hear that. They've just jumped on the gravy train, but they haven't done all the digging. They haven't gotten the backhoe out, and I mean, they haven't done all that. And so we've got to get back to that's what it takes. That's what it takes. I mean, we're playing right now with good players, but Jaquan was a backup point guard last year. Melvin Johnson came off the bench a majority of the year last year. Thank God he's made a big jump. Corey Bilberry, nobody even knew who he was till 5 months ago. He was toiling around in, anonymity in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Gilmore and Tillman hardly ever saw the court. Talented, going to be really, really good, but they hardly ever saw the court. And Mo, Mo played, and Mo was effective. And Hamdi, nobody knew who he was till 5 months ago. That's who we're playing with. And we've got Doug Brooks, who's played a limited role here, and was really helped by Travion Graham a lot. Some other, so I mean, that's what we're playing with. Now, we're good enough. We're good enough. I want to be very clear about that. We're good enough. But we don't have people to bail us out. We just don't have enough people to bail us out. And so there are a lot of similarities. And I do think the guys, or maybe our guys, are understanding quicker than those guys understood. Our guys are more open to the change than that first year's team was when we were here before. And I think our guys are starting to really, really figure that out now. And I feel that. And that's why I sat up here with confidence and said, we're moving forward. That first year we were here with Shaka, you knew by Christmas time, this thing's going to be a grind. This thing is going to be, thing's probably not going to end very well. You just kind of knew. I mean, it was a street fight every day with all the guys. Not all of them, the important ones. It's challenging, it's tough, it's those things, but it's not like that. It's not like that with this group. And that's why I feel good about where we're going and can confidently say that we're going in the right direction. And, we've just got to continue to pound the rock, chip away at the rock this year and as we move forward in recruiting and as we move forward into the future years.
With that being said, has that been like the biggest challenge through 10 games, is to kind of get these guys not to stop reading their own press clippings, so to speak?
Well, it's not really reading their own press clippings. Everybody thinks they're better than they are. It's all of us. All three of you guys back there. You all think you're the best sportscaster in town. Correct?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, everybody does. Everybody does. Tim thinks he's the best beat writer in the country. Like, and I'm not saying I don't watch any of the newscasts. I'm sorry to say. So I don't know who's good, I have no earthly idea. All right? So everybody overvalues himself. That's just the truth. I overvalue myself. You think you do a great job. Like, hey, guess what? I thought I did a great job as an assistant at VCU. The program didn't fall off the face of the earth when I left. I did a good job as the head coach at Chattanooga. They're frickin' 9-2 when I left, all right? The program didn't, like, things keep rolling when you're gone, right? So everybody you're not the reason why everything's going great. And maybe we got too many, like, reality is Travion Graham and Bree made that thing go. Everybody else was just filling a role. Everybody else was just filling a role and filling in. Now, the trick was Trey was such a good leader and had such a commanding presence of everything. He made everybody feel like they were the guy driving the train, but he was driving that bus, nobody else. And so reality's tough sometimes, and you've got to, as a coach, the toughest part is giving them the reality, but also giving them the hope. Jaquan's really, really talented. Really, really talented. He can be one of the best point guards in our league, one of the top 3 point guards in our league. But he's got to do everything right. He's got to do everything right. Melvin does everything just about right. That's why I just laugh when you say, how's he going to recover? He'll be fine. I'm not saying he's going to play great against Buffalo. He'll be fine. Over the long haul, he'll be fine. But everybody's got to do their job better than they've ever done it. And, sometimes it takes losing. People don't want to hear that. Sometimes it takes losing to realize, we're not going to beat such and such just by, we've got to lift our level of play. That's the way it goes.